Cold case hits home for the LAPD. Detectives think they finally solved it.
And the trail led them to one of their own. Reporter Mary Beth McDade live in Van Nuys tonight, where a love triangle came untangled and became a crime.
You guys, that is so right. You know, originally they thought that this heinous crime that was committed here at the Balboa townhomes was at the hands of robbers. Now, homicide detectives believe that the person who committed this crime was sitting right across the hall from them for many years.
Very relieved and thrilled.
Sherri Rasmussen's former Glendale Adventist Medical Center colleagues say an arrest in her murder has been a long time coming. They say Rasmussen had called into work on that fateful day 23 years ago when her husband found her beaten and shot to death at their Van Nuys condo.
A lot of shock. Nobody could believe it had happened to one of our nursing directors.
What's even more shocking is police have arrested one of their detectives for the killing, Stephanie Lazarus. Lazarus, seen here being interviewed a few years ago about a deadly carjacking, is believed to have had a long-term relationship with Rasmussen's new husband. The 26-year police veteran was arrested this morning at Parker Center after being linked to the murder by DNA evidence.
This particular case had something where DNA could be extracted, and that's what brought it to the top.
Can you tell us what that was?
No.
Rasmussen's parents, who originally offered a reward to find their daughter's killers, gave a statement saying the family was not surprised at the arrest. We can only praise the work of the current chief of police and his loyal detective department. As for Rasmussen's former neighbors who lived in fear of a random killer for many years, they say they're now relieved the case has been solved.
I'm happy for the family. I'm happy for the family, but, you know, I'm glad it wasn't robbers. It was somebody that somebody knew. Wow, that's really sad.
And it said that Lazarus worked very hard at her job. As a matter of fact, in 2006, she was promoted to a high-profile position of tracking down stolen art. For now, reporting live in Van Nuys, Mary Beth McDade, KTLA News. Back to
Hello and welcome back to True Crime Phenomenon. This is Josh coming back to you with another video. Today we are going to take a look at the case of Stephanie Lazarus. Alright, this video is in response to a request from Leonard Hill. So Leonard, thank you so much for the topic. At his suggestion, among others, I'll be sprinkling in these videos other than just the Jeremy DeWitt as we move forward. This particular crime is a bit gruesome and gained internet fame from the strange police interview, which I actually published on the channel for your review. Now, some quick housekeeping items. We've raised about $330 thus far for the GoFundMe campaign for the FOIA documents and body camera footage for Jeremy DeWitt. I recently got a response back from Orange County, yesterday actually, letting me know that they need the arrest date from the body camera footage. Hopefully I'll have the FOIA docs within the next week or two. If you would like to donate to that, there's a link in the description. Other than that, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe. And we'll go ahead and get moving forward on this particular case. The crime. On February 24th, 1986, Van Nuys police were called to the crime scene of an apparent robbery gone wrong. 29-year-old Sherri Rasmussen was found in her Van Nuys condominium she shared with her new husband, John Rutten. John had left for work early that morning, while Sherri was planning on calling in sick to work in order to avoid having to give a motivational speech. She just didn't think these types of speeches were effective. Sherri was last seen alive at 7:20 a.m. At approximately 9:45 a.m., a neighbor noticed the garage door was left open with no car visible. John had made several calls to his home between 10 a.m. and noon without reaching Sherri at any point. Around noon, two men assumed to be gardeners gave one of their neighbors a purse they had found, which turned out to be Sherri's. At approximately 12:30, a maid cleaning a nearby unit heard what sounded like a fight between two people, which ended with a loud noise that sounded like something falling. John Rutten returned home around 5:55 p.m., only to find his new bride deceased on the floor of their condominium. John called the police at 5:59 p.m. Paramedics pronounced Sherri deceased at 6:12 p.m. Sherri was found on the living room carpet wearing a t-shirt, robe, and underwear. Sherri had 3 bullet wounds to the chest, a bite mark on the left forearm, which was eventually swabbed, which is important, keep that in your mind, and several half-inch to quarter-inch lacerations around her right eye. Now, investigators focused on a robbery gone awry due to the physical evidence at the scene. Rasmussen's BMW was stolen out of the garage. There was broken glass in the driveway and signs of a struggle inside the home. Police found a broken porcelain vase that was apparently broken over Sherri's head, a bloody handprint next to the burglar alarm panic button, and a toppled credenza. Now, LAPD detectives assumed Rasmussen had been surprised by a burglar and killed. The only items that appeared to have been taken were the BMW, which was found a week after the crime with no evidence, and, dun dun dun, the newlyweds' marriage certificate. Wonder why that could be. Now, detectives ruled out Rutten quickly, choosing to primarily focus on the 2 men that found the purse as potential robbery suspects. Rasmussen's parents had informed police of the feud with Stephanie Lazarus, but the lead went ignored for years. Okay, so who is Stephanie Lazarus? Born in 1960, Stephanie Lazarus attended UCLA, where she met John Rutten. They had met in college dorms and dated kind of on and off during and after college when Lazarus graduated in 1982. Both John and Stephanie were college athletes, which helped them to kind of form this close bond over the years. Lazarus joined the police force in 1984 after graduating from UCLA. She worked as a patrol officer before becoming involved in the DARE program, that's the Drug Abuse Resistance Education program, as a training officer. She also served as a treasurer for the Los Angeles Women Police Officers Association for 5 years. Say that 5 times fast. After 20 years on the job, she was promoted to the high-end art theft and forgeries department, and Lazarus actually met her husband while she was working in DARE. Her husband's name is Scott. She met him in April of 1992 while working for the DARE program in Oregon, and they got married in 1996. Here's a clip of Stephanie Lazarus enjoying her time being out of prison on Family Feud. It's just a small clip. You can barely see her in here, but at least wanted to show you.
All this week on the Family Feud with the star.
Now, don't let me down today. Our last day, guys. Campeón. Many Doleros right there. Thank you. It's our last day of our special. Chester, I know somewhere you're saying, speed it up, speed it up. I'm going to do it. I just wanted to say that if this has to be the last show that I tape, I couldn't be in classier company, because this is the last day of our firefighters versus the police officers special. They're an absolute delight, and so are you. I had the best time in the world. Sweet Eddie, I thank you. My daughter, my wife, my 2 sons, I love. God bless all the little children in the world. Good night.
While in college, John and Stephanie maintained a kind of casual relationship, which could be described as kind of that typical college fling. The couple hadn't engaged in any sexual intercourse, if you know what I mean, until 2 years after they graduated. Lazarus was known to steal John Rutten's clothes while he showered and take pics of him naked while he slept. I mean, she was really obsessed with this guy. During John's testimony in the court case, he stated that they had slept together 20 to 30 times, but she was never, underline that 3 times, never my girlfriend. Now, Lazarus threw John a surprise party for his 25th birthday, seemingly unaware John was dating other women and engaged to Sherri Rasmussen. Lazarus became despondent when she learned of the news, and she felt that she truly loved John. She actually wrote in her journal that she didn't want to go to work. She was totally heartbroken, and Lazarus showed up at John's condo, and the two actually had intercourse again because John said he wanted to give her closure. Now, during Sherri and John's engagement, Stephanie would randomly show up at their condo, and it really unnerved Sherri. She actually brought her skis over one time to get them waxed, and she wouldn't call. She would just kind of show up like any good stalker would do, right? Now, at one point, Stephanie Lazarus showed up at Sherri Rasmussen's job at the Glendale Venice Hospital, stating, "If I can't have John, nobody else will." Oof, yikes, let that sink in. Now, after the case was cold for 23 years, detectives ran the DNA collected from the bite mark. It came back as female, discounting the robbery theory with the two men. After re-examining the case, detectives determined that Stephanie Lazarus was a suspect and a viable suspect, and she worked across the hall from these cold case detectives. Now, LAPD detectives followed Stephanie Lazarus around and collected a discarded item with Stephanie's saliva on it. They ran the comparison and got a match. Now, Lazarus was told that they had a suspect in custody at the jail and that they might have some information about one of her cases. Now, this was just a clever ruse to get the service weapon away from Lazarus without arousing suspicion. At this point, they don't really know kind of where she is, where her mind frame is, mindset. So she's obviously a little bit crazy, and they're rightfully afraid that she might use that service weapon on them. Okay, so now we're going to get into the interview. So detectives told Stephanie Lazarus that they needed her help regarding a case with stolen art. They had a very friendly demeanor. They, basically saying, "Hey, look, we want to avoid the rumor mill and talk around the office." And they chose an interview room at the jail because all guns have to be checked before entering. This is extremely important. They just don't know how her reaction is going to be to the questioning. This would help to also eliminate suspicion of taking her weapon, so basically disarming her without having to ask for the weapon. Okay, so they say that there are notes in the case related to her, specifically stating her name, and they purposely mispronounce John Rutten's name and call him John Rutten, and essentially what they're trying to do is gauge how honest she's going to be. Now, they had met in the dorms at UCLA, and Stephanie Lazarus doesn't mention the fact that they've dated for, on and off for 4 years. They went to Hawaii together after the incident. She plays it off as, friends and downplays the relationship. Now, she's constantly asking, what's this all about? I mean, I knew him, but what's this all about? And detectives ask if she knows what happened to his deceased wife, where she lived, where she worked, what happened to her, etc. And her consistent response is, "Well, that was 1,000,000 years ago." And her crazy eyes are bulging through that screen, piercing my soul. And she's constantly claiming ignorance, saying, "Gosh, geez, that was 1,000,000 years ago. I have like 10,000 pictures and a friend named Shmita." She pretends that she hasn't thought about this in forever, right? And she's consistently vague and, acts naive to why she might be there. And as a detective, she knows exactly why she would have to speak with the police. She knows that everybody involved would have to speak with the police. I mean, that's just basic 101 detective stuff. Now, detectives say the ruse was kind of to prevent the rumor mill. Now, keep in mind, this is 23 years after the crime, so way after the crime. And Lazarus basically wants to talk about anything but the crime. She talks about her pictures, friends from college, her career, just on and on and on about just a big word salad and nothing. Now, she claims not to recall meeting John's wife. Detectives ask, do you know her name? Do you know what she did for a living, where she worked, anything? And Stephanie just continues to pretend not to know. And she's got these many just bizarre faces of contemplation. She said, "I'm not sure why we're talking about a guy I dated 1,000,000 years ago." Well, I'm not sure why you should be talking to a guy that dated 1,000,000 years ago that, right after you guys broke up, his new fiance or new wife happens to get murdered, which, whatever, YouTube algorithm. Anyways, so she says that she learned about it from a flyer, or a call from somebody. She's really evasive and vague when it comes to this. And multiple witnesses said that Stephanie and Sherri had an argument at the hospital in the parking lot, and Stephanie had to be escorted off the property by security. So this is the part where she says, yeah, if I can't have him, then nobody will, referring to John. Now, eventually, she starts leaking information about remembering her confrontation, where she worked, where she lived, and she starts kind of leaking this out little by little. Oh, yeah, I remember now. And, I think at one point she just kind of realizes that she said too much and starts to kind of go back into the facts that just aren't relevant, right? So she's trying to, distract from her leaking of information. She gets kind of combative about being a potential suspect, which I don't understand why she would. She's a police officer. She should know that she would be a suspect. Now, they ask for DNA because they're trying to identify and eliminate potential suspects, and this makes her very, very uneasy. And if she didn't do anything wrong, I don't know why she needs to be uneasy. All that said, here are some clips from the interview.
Yeah, I'll explain the whole thing to you. I don't want to talk about this in the squadron because I don't know who people are listening. And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is doing. No problem. Okay, but we're talking about being busy and stuff. We've been assigned a case that we've been looking at. Okay, it's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned. Okay. Do you know John Rutten?
John Rutten. John Rutten?
Rutten.
Oh, yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in, went to UCLA in 1978 I started, and, met him at school at the dorms.
Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we were very close friends.
Yeah?
I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's a case we're working on. It involves John and...
What's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago. I mean, are you guys, is this something... I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art, and how you guys are...
Here's
I mean...
Stephanie, here's the situation. Is basically, we knew that this, when we saw this in this chrono, that maybe, there was some relationship there. That's what the chrono seemed to indicate, and we didn't want to come up to you at your desk and ask those kinds of questions or do anything. You know how up there people can see what's going on if you go into an interview room or people are in there getting supplies.
Okay.
So we wanted to afford you some privacy, some confidentiality to talk about this, because we thought it might be, something, you're married to someone else, obviously, and so forth, and that you may not want to, talk about these things in that setting where someone, we don't want the rumor mill or gossip or any of that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's fine. I mean...
So we did this just as a means to try and speak to you in just a confidential place where where your business isn't out there for other people in your division to know about.
God, that's been a million years ago.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because from what you're telling me, you guys dated while you were in college together, right?
Yeah, and probably after college. I can't... Geez, I'm trying to think when I met my husband. I moved to Simi in 1994 because I lost my house in the earthquake.
Oh, really?
Quite honestly, I probably keep in contact with a few people from the dorms. We all lived on the 10th floor. Diana Basta, people I still keep. I haven't been in contact with her in a long time. I mean, what's this all about? I mean,
well, let me ask you, what ended the relationship between you and John? And once you guys split, were you guys still friends, or kind of, problems?
I mean,
is it friendly, not friendly?
No, I don't think it was not friendly. I mean, we were friendly. I know that we went to Hawaii at one point. Another friend of mine who's actually dying right now, went to Hawaii with us at some point. Now.
Had you ever met his wife?
I may have.
Do you remember her name or anything, or? Or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
Well, I think I'm going to say that I think she was a nurse. Man, I can't even remember how he said he met her. I mean, it's been so long ago. It's been 1,000,000 years ago. Why you're talking about some guy I dated 1,000,000 years ago? Him, I mean, maybe, who knows? I don't know. It's been 1,000,000 years ago.
Did you?
I got pictures. Like I said, I couldn't tell you years. It's been 1,000,000 years ago. There's probably like 4 or 5. I don't think he ever came. I don't think. No, it was mostly girls. A girl named Smita, Diane. There's 2 Dianes, but the one Diane, I don't think she ever came. I kind of lost contact with her years ago.
Well, do you know what happened to his wife?
Yeah, I know she got killed.
What did you hear about that?
I saw a poster at work. I'm sure I spoke to him about it. I think I spoke to another friend of his about it.
And how did you first learn about that?
Jeez. Someone could have called me. I could have heard it at work. I think at one point there may have been a flyer or something. I know a good friend of his.
Okay, so hopefully you're enjoying the clips. I just wanted to pop in here real quick just to say, listen closely to how much they repeat the questions over and over and over. And Stephanie Lazarus, being a detective, should know that this is a technique in order to get the truth out of her. However, they keep asking over and over the same question, and she keeps coming up with different answers, showing that none of us are impervious to this line of questioning. And if we're hiding something, eventually it's going to leak out.
You said you thought his wife was a nurse. Do you have any idea where she was working at the time, or did he ever mention that to you? Was it a hospital or a doctor's office?
I'm sure he must have mentioned it. Now that you're bringing that up, I think she worked at a hospital somewhere. And yeah, I may have met her at a hospital. I may have talked to her once or twice.
At a hospital?
Or more.
But being that you used to see John, was everything okay between you guys? I mean, there was never anything uncomfortable or anything between you and her?
I don't know. I mean, it's been so many years. I mean, uncomfortable. I mean, I can't even remember if we had a conversation. I mean, I may have seen her at his apartment. Geez, how many years ago is that? I don't even know what year she, got killed.
And after his wife died, did you talk to him again or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I did talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him, probably his parents, probably some other friends. I don't know.
So if you did go over there, just be like a quick thing, like you're saying, drop something off, or
maybe.
But you don't remember as far as like going there to have dinner or like a social, anything at the house, partying?
Well, if you guys know something, I don't know.
When you heard about John's wife being killed, I mean, what was your reaction? I mean, you thought you heard about it, through a friend or in a bulletin or
either
something?
Either a friend or a bulletin. I called the family. I called maybe some of his friends that I knew, and I mean, obviously it shocked you if I heard it at work, which I may have. I faintly remember a bulletin going around. Either that or somebody called me. I honestly don't remember.
Right.
And then I probably called his family. I don't know initially. I can't say if I initially spoke to him or not. I honestly don't remember. I may have said to somebody, "Hey, have him call me if he wants to talk," and then he may have done that.
Do you know what the circumstances were regarding her death?
Geez, let me think back. I don't know if it was a burglary or something. It's been so many years. I can faintly think that I may have saw a flyer May have had her picture on it. That's why I say, if somebody had called me, I may not have known what her last name was. Maybe if you told me, I would remember it.
Do you remember the first name?
Sherri, I don't know, something maybe,
From all the years, as far as you can remember, do you remember ever talking to her?
Well, I said earlier, I may have, I may have talked to her.
You mentioned a hospital, maybe. You may have talked to her at a hospital.
Yeah, I may have, I'm thinking back now, you guys are bringing up all these whole memories.
No, kind of just off the cuff.
Geez. I'm thinking that, because, we would date, he would date other people, I would date other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, at one point, he may have been dating her, or I don't know, maybe he was married, I don't even remember. And I'm like, why are you calling me if you're either dating her or living with her or married to her? Because I honestly don't remember the time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, come on, knock it off. And now I'm thinking I may have gone to her and say, hey, you know what? Is he dating you? He's bothering me. And so I'm thinking that we had a conversation about that. One or two, maybe. It could have been three. I don't want to say I had 3 conversations with her.
Like at her work or at their house or?
No, I'm thinking that he obviously must have told me where she worked. I'm thinking it was a hospital somewhere in LA. I think Scott might have moved in 93, sometime in 93. Excuse me.
Well, the writing looks similar and the spelling is the same, so I can see the conclusion the cops would draw. Would conclude they were both written by the same person.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, one of the concerns I had is looking at some of the notes is some of Sherri's friends said that you and her were having a problem because of the John situation.
Well, number one, I don't know who her friends are. Because again, I don't recall if he did tell me where he met her. I don't even know who these friends are. A problem. Like I said, if I spoke to her, I'll go on as far as a limb, and I don't even want to say I spoke to her 5 times because that's probably not even true. I can't even remember. Again, did I meet him at her place when he lived on Roscoe for, I think, quite a while, but I couldn't tell you how long he lived on Roscoe. And the only reason I remember the place now is because it's like a huge dope place now where they, it may have been back then, but, maybe we didn't know back then. I could have met her there. I could have, I don't even know that I met any of their friends. I can't say that. I don't know that that's a true statement.
Well, that's what I'm reading is that you guys had problems with each other and words were being exchanged, and it's all relating to John.
You know what? I can't say.
Any other cars that stand out in your mind?
In the interim.
Okay, so for those of you that have been living under a rock, that was Dennis Rader, and I just thought it was fitting to add that here because it's just so creepy.
Time and agreed to continue your arraignment to July 6th this year.
Yes, Your Honor. Curtly and calmly, she answered yes when a Los Angeles County judge asked Detective Stephanie Lazarus if she wanted her arraignment postponed. The 49-year-old LA police veteran is accused of killing an ex-boyfriend's wife in 1986. Through DNA evidence, officers connected Lazarus to the shooting and beating death of Sherri Rasmussen. Police say saliva from bite marks on the victim's body provided a match. The crime occurred at her Van Nuys, California condo. Back then, police thought burglary suspects were to blame.
The family has nothing but praise for the LAPD of 2009.
Lazarus was active with the LAPD in 1986. The victim's family say they approached investigators about how her husband's ex-girlfriend, a police officer, repeatedly harassed Sherri Rasmussen.
They told of times when Stephanie Lazarus appeared at Sherri Rasmussen's place of work at Glendale Adventist and told Sherri Rasmussen, "If I cannot have John, nobody can."
When they announced the arrest, police said detectives knew of Lazarus's prior relationship.
The investigation revealed that she had had a previous relationship with the victim's husband prior to the murder.
Outside court, her parents and their lawyer asked for answers.
The investigation in 1986 is a completely different story, and the family has numerous questions about what was done during that time period.
Lazarus is being held without bail. Her next court appearance is in July. John Moan, The Associated Press, Los Angeles.
Good afternoon. We are back on the record in People versus Lazarus. Shortly before noon, the jury announced they have a verdict. We will take the verdict at this time. Before I buzz the jurors out, though, I want to remind everyone that this is a court of law, and I will not tolerate any outbursts of any kind in reaction to this verdict. Buzz out the jurors, please. Good afternoon. I understand you have reached a verdict in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, please provide the verdict to the bailiff. All right, the clerk will please read the verdict.
People of the State of California versus Stephanie Eileen Lazarus. Case number BA 357423. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Stephanie Eileen Lazarus, guilty of the crime of murder of Sherri Rasmussen in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony, as charged in Count 1 of the information. We further find the murder was of the first degree. We further find the allegation that in the commission of the above offense, the defendant, Stephanie Eileen Lazarus, personally used a firearm, namely a handgun, within the meaning of Penal Code Section 12022.5, subsection A1 to be true. This 8th day of March in the year 2012, juror number 9, foreperson. Is this your verdict? So say you one, so say you all?
Yes. All right, please poll the jurors.
Juror number 1, is this your verdict?
Yes, please.
Juror number 2?
Yes.
Juror number 3?
Yes.
Juror number 4?
Yes.
Juror number 5?
Yes.
Juror number 6?
Yes.
Juror number 7?
Yes.
Juror number 8?
Yes.
Juror number 9?
Yes.
Juror number 10?
Yes.
Juror number 11?
Yes.
And juror number 12.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, the verdict will be recorded, ladies and gentlemen. Before I excuse you, I have to read to you a separation admonition. You have now completed your jury service in this case. On behalf of all the judges of the court, please accept my thanks for your time and effort. Now that the case is over, you may choose whether or not to discuss the case and your deliberations with anyone.
Okay, so that wraps up the case of Stephanie Lazarus. She was eventually sentenced to 27 years to life for the first-degree murder of Sherri Rasmussen. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you happen to subscribe, just put a little note down below. I'd like to welcome everybody to the channel. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.